With your light and healing power, we are thine. Be thou ours. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Cloud-colored Christ, come, oh my cloud-colored Christ, come. Oh my Christ, oh my Christ, oh my Christ, oh my Christ Jesus Christ, come. Oh my Christ, oh my Christ, oh my Christ, oh my Christ Jesus Christ, come. Cloud-colored Christ, come, oh my
Now I'd like to listen to a song. Swamiji wrote a music to the story of Christ's life, and it's called Christ Lives. And they're very beautiful songs. This one is called Mother of Wisdom, and it's a song to Divine Mother in honor of Christ's mother, but all mothers. Just listen to the words, it's very beautiful. Now let's meditate and pray to Divine Mother to bless us with her divine love and receive us on her lap as we meditate this very short time this morning. Open your hearts to her love, which is always there. We just need to receive it. We'll meditate for about 10 minutes. Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti. Keeping this meditative state, listen to these words of Swamiji from Affirmations for Self-Healing. And this morning the affirmation is on love. One finds love not by being loved, but by loving. We can never know love if we try to draw others to ourselves, nor can we find it by centering our love in them. For love is infinite. It is never ours to create. We can only channel it from its source in infinity to all whom we meet. The more we forget ourselves in giving to others, the better we can understand what love really is. And the more we love as channels for God's love, the more we can understand that His is the one love in all the universe. Please affirm with me, I will love others as extensions of my own self.
I will love others as extensions of my own self.
And of the love I feel from God.
And the love I feel.
I will love others as extensions of my own self.
I will love others as extensions of my own self.
And of the love I feel from God.
And the love I feel.
A little more quietly. I will love others as extensions of my own self. And of the love I feel from God. And now in a whisper, I will love others as extensions of my own self. And of the love I feel from God. And now silently taking it into the superconscious, I will love others as extensions of my own self and of the love I feel from God. I will love others as extensions of my own self and of the love I feel from God. And please pray silently with me, O Infinite One, make me a channel for thy love. Through me, reach out to sow seeds of love in barren hearts everywhere. Om Shanti Shanti. Amen.
Well, once again, happy Christmas. Yes, thank you. And so we'll begin reading from Whispers from Eternity entitled, Nothing Can Steal My Love for Thee. No loud or whispered words of prayer shall steal away my love. With the soul's unspoken language, I will express my hunger for thee. The voice is silence, and through my silence thou must speak to me and tell me, thou hast loved me always, though I knew it not. Many centuries after Christ had passed, 2,000 years ago, there was an extraordinary event, and there was a large gathering of Christians, and again, this was several centuries after Christ's passing, and they were debating whether Christ had really come to this earth or if he was just a myth. And there was, quite a heated debate. Hard to believe, but nevertheless, there it was. And so at one point, someone came up with really what was the superconscious solution. There were they were called the Desert Fathers that were living in North Africa. And one of them was St. Anthony, and he was a highly advanced soul, truly a saint. And so they called on him to come. And he had been there in the desert for many, many years as a recluse and hermit. And so he came then to the city and came into the large hall where so many were gathered. And all he said was, "I have seen him," and walked out. And that was the end of the discussion, because they could see Christ flowing through him. That was all that they needed. And that's why these great saints, they come again and again, thankfully. We'd never get out of here. I'm convinced of that. They come again and again to share with us the blessings of Christ, the blessings of these great, great saints. There was another beautiful story. If you ever have a chance to read, highly recommended. We went down with Swami many years ago to the Sacramento region of Northern California to see Richard Wurmbrand and his wife, Sabina. And in his book, he had shared this story. His book is Torture for Christ, an extraordinary story of how he brought Christ there to the communists who were atheists and so forth, and the remarkable work that he and his wife and others did. And so at one point, one of the disciples there was preaching to others the love of Christ. And this communist soldier didn't know, he had no background in this. They were raised in an atheistic society. And so he felt the vibration coming from this highly advanced soul. And he said, well, what was he like? And in a superconscious state, because it couldn't have been any other way, the disciple said, he's like me. And that was all that soldier needed to be converted to his own inner self, to begin to feel that, yes, Christ was alive. And even many centuries ago, during Yogananda's lifetime, there's the extraordinary story in Swami Kriyananda's autobiography, The Path, where a man wrote a letter to Yogananda and said, Christ never lived, he was a myth. And so Yogananda felt inwardly guided to pray to God to please show him this man. He didn't know who he was. The letter wasn't signed, he was anonymous. And so after a week, then he went into the Boston Library and saw this man sitting here and walked up to him and said, why did you write that letter? And the man was absolutely shocked. He said, how did you know? And he said, well, basically paraphrasing, the power that allowed me to find you is the same power that I know from in my heart of hearts, that Christ indeed was not a myth, but he was alive. He was a true saint, a true Son of God. And so thankfully, over the centuries, in many instances, long after Christ left this world, these great saints, attunement's everything. That's our responsibility, attunement, as we know. Attunement is everything. And these great saints who are highly attuned, really one with God, come to share in so many ways, primarily through their example, that Christ did not forsaken us when he passed 2,000 years ago. As Yogananda said, quite an astonishing statement, that Christ didn't even mind the crucifixion. And that's why he was able to utter from his soul, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And then 3 days later, because he had that power, he resurrected and was again made available to his disciples that were, of course, grief-stricken by his tragic passing. We went to a wonderful, wonderful shrine. India, of course, I needn't tell you, preaching to the choir, what tremendous vibrations emanate from the temples all throughout India. Again, India, the guru of the world, as we feel. And when we were in India, 1980, a small little bunch of us, this was pre the formal tours that we have now, we went to Assisi just for a scant 3 days. And because we had this extraordinary experience here in India, where we went all over the place to these very, very supercharged shrines. I didn't know what to think about Italy. I knew that Master's patron saint was St. Francis, and so I did have high expectations, but what a joy it was to go into these various shrines, and the power was so strong. And so in one particular shrine, not at this time, but many, many years later, Roma and I and numbers of those in Assisi, we have a center there, went to this beautiful, beautiful shrine of St. Joseph of Cupertino. And he was a levitating saint. Such was his love for God that he would just fly up into the air. And there was one time that a nobleman went to visit him. And at one point, I suspect they embraced, and they both levitated up. The nobleman didn't have that power, but St. Joseph of Cupertino certainly did. Like India, this was one of those shrines at St. Joseph's. This was just a little residence that really wasn't shown to the public. It was underground, and they kept it fairly quiet. But we had friends in Assisi that told us about it, and we were overjoyed to go there. But we could only spend a half an hour. And when we went, we were glued to the place. And when it was time to leave, when we were tapped on the shoulder, it was really, really difficult. We felt like we could have stayed there forever. And so these great ones come again and again from the past and from the present to show us that Christ is alive today, and we can rejoice because he's alive within our hearts. And these times, like Christmas, and of course, here in India, we have so many shrines. Which I often do, we lived in Jayanagar for 4 years, go back and see my friends and shop and so forth. It's another festival. And there's a whole bunch of, Ganeshas and all the various things. And they go completely, they fill the sidewalk and out into the street. Cars and motorcycles have to go around them. I thought, oh, this is what we should have in America too. This kind of devotion. And that's why when Yogananda was here in India in the mid-30s, and he was walking hand in hand with Yogi Ramya, Ramana Maharshi's highly advanced disciple and saint, he said, if I had spent one more half an hour in Yogi Ramya's presence, holding hands, walking about the ground, I couldn't have left India. He sacrificed, Yogananda sacrificed to come to the West because the calling there, one doesn't really see that these days on the surface because America's going through tremendous troubles. But you go beneath, why did Yogananda pick Los Angeles? He said Los Angeles was the Benares of the West because thousands of years ago, he was able to perceive great rishis were there. And so even though he was filling the largest halls in the land in the 20s and 30s, and everyone wanted him to make his headquarters, his international headquarters in their city, obviously, he was saying, no, my soul calls me to Los Angeles. And so even though he was sacrificing there, and in the last years when Swami was with him, because he planned to take Swami with him in the late 40s and 50s, things kept on coming up. And then finally the trip was postponed indefinitely, of course, when Yogananda passed in his Mahasamadhi. But he was wanting to come back to here because it was not easy. And even for easy to be in America because of such materialism there. But the spiritual energy is there too, very, very strong. And Swami said too, when he was in India for 4 years, and what a treasure it was for him from 1958 to 1962, it was time then for him to come back. And he just was thinking, I don't know, maybe I can get an extension on my stay here. And then he met someone from America filled with devotion. And he said, okay, I remember. America has that too. And it's not just India, and it's not just America. God is everywhere. As Ananda Ma was asked one time, why don't you come? As a matter of fact, she was asked by Yogananda, why don't you come to America? She says, why should I come? I'm already there. And so it is with Christ and all the great ones. Their blissful omnipresence is what keeps us charged and keeps us sane. Because otherwise, how could we handle the inner onslaught, the outer onslaught, all of these constant troubles? I was sharing with some friends, different ones came over yesterday to again celebrate Christmas. And they were wondering, about various saints and so forth. And so I said, well, one of the saints that you should perhaps look up on YouTube is Padre Pio, highly advanced soul, passed in 1968. And I told him a few stories which were fun, which was simply, he had said to someone who came to him, and Padre Pio, these great saints, all they want is that people find God. They're not saying you should be, converted, to my path. It's none of that. And so Padre Pio said to this person, he was in a confessional 19 hours a day. In the Catholic tradition, people come and they unburden their heart. 19 hours a day, this great saint was there listening to people's stories and their hardships and all the things that they cared to share. And so Padre Pio said, you should go to SRF. And the man said, well, what's SRF? And Padre Pio says, I don't know. God told me to tell you. You'll go to Satsanga here in India, Self-Realization Fellowship in America. You should go to SRF. The great saints, they look and they see, as Yogananda says, I see you all as light. They see us as we truly are, as souls. And so, again, at one point with Padre Pio, someone said, because he was a little unsure, I'm practicing yoga. He was there in the confessional, just the two of them, and Padre Pio said, shh, 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 because he knew the others wouldn't understand, steeped as they were perhaps in dogma. He said, but you're doing the right thing. So we go to these saints because they have, of course, the great wisdom, especially we drink of their bliss. But they're funny. They have a great sense of humor. Every once in a while, Swami would say that people perceive Christ as a wooden Indian and always sitting there in judgment. He said, there's no way he would have attracted thousands of people if he was this grim person. He was a great saint of joy and a great saint of love. And that's why he was able to draw those thousands and thousands of souls, as he does to this day, millions, truly. And so happy Christmas to you all, because these times, as we know, that we experience in India pretty much nonstop with these joyous festivals and so on, this is yet another time. And this was Yogananda's favorite time of the year, Christmas, because Christ, his power is very, very strong. And the joy of it all is that, again, as it's true of all saints, he lives in our hearts.
Well, again, happy Christmas to everybody. I wanted to just share a very short passage in the autobiography of a yogi from the years 1940 to 1951. The time-tested scriptures of the world are one in essence, inspiring man on his upward journey. One of the happiest periods of my life was spent at Encinitas in dictating to secretaries the text of a spiritual interpretation of Christ's life. Fervently, I implored Christ to guide me in divining the true meaning of his words, many of which have been grievously misunderstood for 20 centuries. One night, while I was engaged in silent prayer, my sitting room in the Encinitas Hermitage became filled with an opal blue light. I beheld the radiant form of the blessed Lord Jesus. A young man, he seemed, of about 25, with a sparse beard and mustache. His long black hair, parted in the middle, was haloed by a shimmering gold. His eyes were eternally wondrous. As I gazed, they were infinitely changing. With each divine transition in their expression, I intuitively understood the wisdom that was being conveyed. In his glorious eyes, I felt the power that upholds the myriad worlds. A holy grail appeared at his mouth. It came down to my lips and then returned to Jesus. After a few moments, he spoke to me in beautiful words of reassurance, so personal in their nature that I keep them in my heart. And it's such a beautiful, just such a beautiful story, because the great ones came to help us, and yet they still need reassurance that they are being pure channels for the divine that is coming through them. And they're always checking in and making sure that what they are giving is pure love. And the love that Christ brought is the love that all the great masters have brought. This is the love that will transform our lives. And this is the message of every religion, every sect, every prayer, every yearning of every soul. This is the message of every guru that ever was: divine love. We are united in divine love. We are made from love. And the way to experience that love is to not only sit and hope for it and pray for it, but to share that love. This is the dynamic way of actually having the experience of love in your life. This is the way, sharing love. Pure, simple, humble love. That's what we came to do. That's the only reason for our living, really. We don't have anything else at the end of our life. Our success will go, our jobs will go, our families will go, we'll come back next lifetime. We won't even know our children. They may live next door to us. We won't recognize them. Just think of it, this life, what we've been given as a great blessing is the honor of understanding and receiving the true love of a guru. That is the blessing of a lifetime. Swami Shankara said that it's the greatest blessing of all three worlds, is the blessing of a true guru. And so they all work together. They're all made from love. And we are made from that same love. Just like Haridas was saying, that beautiful story of Richard Wurmbrand. He was in a prison, communist prison. And he felt that love, and he changed many, many souls' lives. And he said, somebody said, what's Christ like? He said, he's like me, because he was one with that love. And it's not just for saints in India, it's for all of us, all of us. You know, Swamiji spent his life sharing that love and trying to attune himself to Master, just as Master was attuning himself to Christ, just as Christ attuned himself to the great ones. Well, Swamiji tried his whole life to attune himself to Paramahansa Yogananda. And he wrote beautiful music, bringing that vibration of love into this world, so much in need right now, so much in need. And so we have these beautiful songs. He's written Bengali songs, he's written Indian chants, he's written Italian chants, he's written French chants, he's written songs in English. He's written the music that he felt was given to him by God to heal. This music is called the divine music of healing. This music heals. And I wanted to share with you this morning that song about the mother, Divine Mother, who we all yearn to know and sit on her lap and be comforted by. But don't think of this music, you know, when Swami first came, he was explaining these songs when he brought these songs to India. And people would say, well, I don't understand that music. I don't understand the words. This is Western music. I'm not in tune with it. Well, yes, we are, because it's the vibration underneath the words. It's the vibration of the heart. It's the vibration of the divine coming through. So try to go, when you listen to Swamiji's music, which is, you can listen to it many different ways on the radio and such, but try to feel the vibration, because that's what he was bringing through this music. And so he went to the Holy Land and he wrote this beautiful music after he got back. He was so in tune with Christ's life. It was overflowing. And it's called Christ Lives. So that was just one song, but I want to play a song now that he wrote when we were at the village. and it's called The Shawl of Gold. And it's a story. It's a story of love, of divine love, but it's a story of Christ's love. And it's about this little girl who's standing outside a church or a temple in a very, very thin shawl, freezing cold in the snow, and very poor. And she was very hungry. And she was standing there, and all the people were walking into the church with their pious looks on their face. They were going to Christmas service. They were going to meditate. They were going to sing the praises of God, but they ignored her, completely ignored her, just walked right past her and just pushed her aside. And so she was feeling very sad that she wasn't able to go into the church. But then she noticed this little boy that was much younger than her without even a shawl. And so she gave him her shawl. This little boy was freezing and hungry and alone. So many people like that today in this world. So many people we walk right by. We don't even notice. And we just live our lives and think, oh, not part of my life. So she handed him her shawl. That was all she had to give. And the beautiful ending to the story, I won't tell you the ending to the story, but we're going to listen to that song. And as we listen to this, just think of yourselves. How many times do we walk by? How many times do we ignore those in need? How many times do we think we're the ones that are going to get samadhi and that's all that counts? We're the special ones because we have it all together. We're going to be successful. That's not what life is about. Life is about humility, being in tune with Divine Mother, and sharing what she gives you, giving it all. Mother Teresa said, give until it hurts. Think of that. Give until it hurts, not just a few rupees and then walk by. Give of yourself, give of your love, give of your kindness, give of your compassion, forgive those who have hurt you. Really try to make a difference in this world spiritually. And then you will see how materially your world will open up. You will be filled with joy, and the things will come to you that you need. Need to what? Need to transform your life so that you can find God. That's what life is about. So I want to listen to that song, and it's only 5 minutes. So just listen to the words. And
a poor little girl walking in the cold, her clothing all tattered and thin, spied a rich man standing outside the church, outside the church, outside the church. Spied a rich man standing outside the church, the service about to begin. Kind sir, she said, hear an orphan child. The cold winds of winter have come. I've no place to live, not in all the world. Oh, help me find work in some home. The rich man frowns, don't you hear that hymn? Good people have gathered in prayer. It's a day for worship, impious girl. Impious girl, oh impious girl. It's a day for worship, impious girl. Don't speak here of earthly affairs. He walked off and entered the holy church. The girl wandered down the cold street, and then all at once she beheld a small boy, no jacket, no shoes for his feet. His clothing was shabby, as worn as her own. He shivered against a closed door. Ah, lassie cried, none will take me in. Take me in, none will take me in. Ah, lassie cried, none will take me in. Though I'm starving and cold, or I'm poor. Seeing him, she cried, how I feel for you. It's better with no friends to live. Here, please take my shawl, it's all I can spare, though it's shameful so little to give. She wrapped him all up in a flimsy cloth and kissed his cold forehead and smiled. Suddenly, oh, like a summer breeze, like a summer breeze. Suddenly, oh, like a summer breeze, encircled this poor girl and child. And a tender voice said, my daughter, I'm here. No more shall you weep without friends. For in yonder church there's no love like yours. Those with pure hearts, their needs I have been. My child, all men's sorrows would turn to joy if they knew that to share is no loss. For its kindness softens the human heart, the human heart. For its kindness softens the human heart. I know I who died on the cross. Worship means but love, and my love you found by your gift to me in the cold. And she saw their clothes were now worn and worn, and the shawl was now spun of fine gold.
Let's just meditate for a moment. And now we'll have our Aarti. Please stand for the Aarti.
Ram, Jai Ram,
you who feel so inclined, come up to the altar to receive the light of Christ and the Masters. As you approach, offer a prayer of gratitude to the infinite Christ, in whose love our line of Masters have descended, that we might all come to God. Pray too for the grace to share with all as you have received, for you are a part of all that is. May the light of the great Masters shine upon you. And after you get your blessing, go back to your seat. We're going to listen to one more song and do healing prayers. Okay?
Listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. I will never forget thee. I will never forsake thee. Through the blue sky under blue cloud, as thou hear my beloved Lord, oh thou blue sky under blue cloud, as thou hear my beloved Lord, open thy cover, let me discover, open thy cover, let me discover my beloved Lord in thy heart of hearts, my beloved Lord in thy heart of hearts. Open thy cover, let me discover, open thy cover, let me discover my beloved Lord in thy heart of hearts, my beloved Lord in thy heart of hearts. O thou blue sky under blue cover, as thou hear my beloved Lord, O thou blue sky under blue cover, as thou hear my beloved Lord, open thy cover, let me discover, open thy cover, let me discover my beloved Lord in thy heart of hearts, my beloved Lord in thy heart of hearts, my beloved Lord in thy heart of hearts. Joy, 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 heaven, joy, 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 heaven, joy, 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 heaven, joy, 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 heaven, joy, 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 heaven, joy, 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 heaven, joy, joy, joy,
heaven more joy, 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 heaven more joy, 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 heaven more joy, 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 heaven more joy, 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 heaven more joy, joy, heaven more joy, 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 heaven more joy, 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 heaven more joy, 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 heaven more joy, 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 lightning flash, glimmers in thy face, mother, Lord, lightning flash, glimmers in thy face, seeing me I am thrilled through and through, seeing me I am thrilled through and through. Lord, lightning flash, glimmers in thy face, mother, Lord, lightning flash, glimmers in thy face, seeing me I am thrilled through and through, seeing me I am thrilled through and through.
This last song is called The Christmas Mystery, and it was Swamiji's, one of his very first songs that he wrote, and it's a Christmas carol. It's quite beautiful. So we'll just listen to that, and then we'll do our healing prayers.
Long ago there was a little shed where three mighty kings did bow their heads to a gentle babe of low degree, whom men called the Son of Mary. Who'll dare to me this mystery, how a tiny babe in a manger lay could so many hearts to love persuade this holy Son of Mary. Shepherds came and knelt in wonder there, seeing him in light beyond compare, and his eyes that told them all Lord was he, whom men called the Son of Mary. Who'll dare to me this mystery, how a tiny babe in a manger lay could so many hearts to love persuade this holy Son of Mary. Wonderful it was that Christmas day, how from far and near they came to pray, how from far they glimpsed his majesty, whom men call the Son of Mary. Who'll tell to me this mystery, how a tiny babe in a manger lay could so to love, persuade this holy Son of Mary. Could it be that in that little one, Spirit's universal love did shine? If it's true, He lives in you and me, whom men call the Son of Mary. Who'll tell to me this mystery, how a tiny babe in a manger lay, put so many hearts to love, persuade this holy Son of Mary.
Now let's stand and do healing prayers. Call to mind those that you know who are in need of healing energy. Visualize them at the spiritual eye, filled with light, filled with the love of God, filled with the radiance of Christ's love surrounding and filling them. And visualize this whole world radiating this divine light, every creature, every living thing, every soul filled with this light, filled with love, filled with joy. And let's pray. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in their bodies, in their minds, and in their souls. Rub your hands together, generate healing power. Ask Master to use you as an instrument as we chant Om 3 times to send this energy out. Om. Shanti, Shanti. Go out with joy. Yeah. So I just have a few announcements and then we'll have lunch. So one of the announcements is that the dedication is happening on the January 16th. We want to deeply thank all of you who have contributed to everything that's going on. We really appreciate the help, and everybody is volunteering, and it's just wonderful. So we feel a lot of energy around the dedication, and we're deeply grateful. Also, there's a level 3 class this afternoon, which is a discipleship class. And if you have taken level 1 and 2, you're welcome to join. And if you've already taken level 3, please join us. It'll be here in the temple at 2 o'clock. There is a choir practice here right after. Neha, you want to say when?
Right after, just before lunch. We'll have a choir. So those who want to sing in the choir, those who, everyone is welcome. But we just have 3 weekends. So the only criteria is that you come for the rehearsals until the dedication. So it will be right here in the temple, just before, like right now, like after we disperse.
Okay. And also on January 5th, it's Master's birthday. And we're going to have a 3-hour meditation on the Saturday prior to the Sunday service, dedicating our lives to Master again. So that will be something that we'll do on Saturday on, I think it's the 7th or 8th. I forget, it's after January 5th because January 5th is on a Wednesday. So we'll have a 3-hour meditation followed by lunch, and we'll send out a reminder for all of you. So if you've done the 8-hour meditation, which about 25 of you did at Christmas, 3 hours is just a piece of cake. You'll just glide through because you've already done 8 hours. So God bless you all. Happy Christmas, and thank you for coming. Okay.